Vice President Kamala Harris announcing a plan to give black men more economic opportunities. These include forgivable business loans for entrepreneurs, creating more apprenticeships, and studying diseases that disproportionately affect black men. There have been fears among Harris supporters that some in the black male population could choose to sit out next month's election. Joining us right now to talk about all of this is Charles Phillips. He is co-founder and managing partner of Recognize. He's the co-chair of the Black Economic Alliance and a board member at American Express, Paramount Global, and Compass. And Charles, thanks for coming in today.
Glad to be here.
Let's talk a little bit, first of all, about why you are a supporter, why you're coming on today.
Well, I've known her since 2003 when I lived in the Bay Area. When we started the Black Economic Alliance, there were two senators that joined us, 70 business people and two senators. One was Cory Booker. The other one was Kamala Harris in 2017. So she's been working on these issues about the black economy for a long time. And to me, she has receipts on this. And so I think she's authentic. She has some good ideas. She surrounds herself with smart people. A lot of ideas that come, some are good, some are bad, and she's good at kind of deciphering which ones to go with.
There has been criticism of this plan that's just being rolled out 3 weeks before the election, that this is because her poll numbers are down with black men.
She only had a few weeks to jump into the campaign and get policy together. She didn't know she was going to be running. And you have a lot of different constituencies in the Democratic Party. Everybody wants to, something custom for them. So she had a lot to do in a short period of time. And you're right, yeah, there's a problem in the black community, especially with black men. And so she's addressing it. And we polled them and asked them, who would you listen to on this topic of the economy? And 35% said other black business leaders. Only 5% said celebrities. So we said, OK, we'll tell you what we think. You can vote, decide yourself. But if you want to hear from black business leaders, let's try to help.
So what do you think?
I think she has some good ideas. I mean, no one's addressed housing in a long time. That's a big issue in the black community. Only 40% of the people own homes. She wants to build 3 million homes in the first term in office. So I think she has great ideas. And if people hear her talk about them, she can earn their vote. But now the good news is the fact that everybody's focused on it and wants to hear from black men. That's a good thing.
It's interesting, Charles. There's an interesting piece in the Journal. It's kind of a bizarre piece.
I might have read that, yes.
Yeah, I only want to focus on the pot part. I didn't want to touch that with the 10-foot pole. But the Journal throws a compliment that it is, and providing capital to minorities is a great idea, because it's not just redistribution. It's starting businesses. But it points out that there would be forgivable government loans, which are basically grants, because they'll probably be forgiven.
Agreed.
The Journal wonders whether it's constitutional to do that just for a minority, to select one. Would that pass muster, do you think?
Likely not. Most of the ideas she has will help everybody, the entire economy. And so my guess is that'll be loans for small businesses, period. Right. And so if you can make sure that there's no discriminatory behavior and it's accessible and opportunity zones, great, everybody benefits.
Let me ask you just one other thing, and these are all interesting things to point out. In our intro, we said maybe the Harris camp is worried that black men stay home. Okay, that's one thing. I think some black men are voting for Donald Trump more than in some past elections. And the Journal ends with, it's good news that Ms. Harris and Democrats are being forced to compete for black voters who look fondly at Trump's first-term economy. So I don't think it's just like we said in the intro that they're not going to show up for her. He has made strides, according to some, that remember fondly his first presidency in terms of the economy.
We've done a lot of focus groups on this and asked what they remember. What they remember is the stimulus checks with his name on them. So we tell them.
So same old back then.
Yeah. It was smart for him to put his names on the checks, but that's a one-time deal. That was related to COVID. Don't expect that if you vote for Donald Trump.
You don't think it was just organic wage gains that were better under Trump than under...
There were wage gains also under Biden as well. So
we're not back to even yet.
Real
wages.
Wages are growing faster than prices right now. Over the last, finally, that's happening. Okay. And so the COVID distorted the Biden record, it distorted the Trump record as well. Some good, some bad.
Did.
So we just put it in context.
Charles, I want to read you something. This is from the New York Times. This is David Leonhardt. The Democratic Party has spent years hoping that demography would equal destiny. As the country became more racially diverse, Democrats imagined that they would become the majority party thanks to support from Asian, Black, and Hispanic voters. The politics of America, according to this vision, would start to resemble the liberal politics of California. It is not working out that way. What do you, and part of what he goes on to say is it's not working out that way because it's actually not about race. It's about economic class. And that actually the working class and the lower rungs are actually moving more towards Republicans than towards Democrats. And that it actually is not a racial issue or diversity issue at all, but it's, as we just described, and here we are on a business show, about economics. What do you just make of that analysis?
We polled this issue by far the 1, 2, and 3 issues in the black community. It's all economic. It's inflation, it's economy, it's jobs, it's housing. And so that the issues they've identified are correct. The fact that they have to earn the vote for black people and black men, that's a good thing. That's what we've been saying all along. Right. Tell us what you're going to do for us. But
what's so interesting about that is the distinction between the idea that Republicans are for the blue-collar worker and the Democrats are for the white-collar worker, right?
Right.
I mean, that's become the new sort. I don't know if it's new. Maybe it's old.
Right. Well, we're trying to put that in context. Part of the reason they think that is because of those checks that they received before, and also inflation. They blame that on Biden. We kind of explained that started with those checks under Trump and continued and accelerated under Biden, but both of them are responsible for it.
Right.
But you had to do that. When you're crash landing the plane, as Tim Geithner used to say, you don't skimp on the phone on the runway. We didn't know where the economy was going to go, and so probably there was too much stimulus, but you'd rather have that than a recession.
Hey, Charles, business leaders in particular, it's been probably a little harder this time around to find business leaders who would speak out. Part of that may be because Kamala Harris came in so late to the game. But part of it is probably a reflection of things that business leaders will tell you they feel uncomfortable with. Talking about price gouging, thinking that grocery stores are gouging people, and that's why we have these inflationary prices. Higher corporate taxes, granted 28% is lower than what President Biden was proposing in his campaign. Things like bashing the wealthy. I mean, those are the things I've heard back from corporate leaders that make them a little uncomfortable with it. How do you explain to them that you think this is the right choice anyway?
I would say she's listening to all that. Myself, Mark Cuban, Aaron Levy from Box, we all kind of talk all the time. We gave her a few white papers on these very topics and say, this is what we're hearing in the business community. We're pushing her in that direction. I think she's has a long record of kind of hearing different things from different people and making great decisions. So she's cognizant of these issues.
Charles, earlier we were talking, and I sent you the article on, Phil Gramm and Jody Arrington's take on some of the ways to get government spending under control. And when you say welfare, it's almost racially tinged, and people immediately said it was. So I just looked it up, and it's weird. 43% white welfare recipients, 26% Hispanic, 23% black, which just begs a question. What about the 46% of the welfare recipients that aren't eligible for the $20,000 grant? So it's a weird...
We have a lot of distortions in the way we allocate federal funds. You could call the tax code stimulus. The fact that companies only pay 9% effective tax rate, specific industries get specific subsidies, that's a government subsidy as well.
Right. Right. I mean, I understand how things need to be done because it's not working. It's not working fast enough.
No,
it's
but
not.
We were talking about welfare before and
right.
trying to reduce welfare. But the truth is, you can go and look. Employees, big percentages of employees who work for Walmart, big percentages of employees who work for McDonald's. You can go through the list, and there's been studies on this, right? Are employees who are getting welfare. That means that the taxpayer is effectively subsidizing those companies. So when we then have a conversation about what the corporate tax rate is supposed to be, or what the individual tax rate is supposed to be,
so
at some point you have to start to incorporate these issues and say to yourself, the taxpayer is subsidizing these companies, and therefore should the companies be paying, either the company should be paying a higher salary, which we'd all like, to these employees, or you have to think about it a little differently. I only raise that because I think we're all talking about these very complicated topics.
Right. She has a great idea you guys aren't highlighting on employee stock ownership programs, which is probably, I don't know, a third of the employees could potentially own stock in the companies that they work for, but the tax code doesn't incent that. KKR has done a great job doing this. I'm sure you've seen them on 60 Minutes and other shows. Share it with, but the tax codes have to support this. Share that more employees with own stock ownership. And she has that in her plan